And real
Yeah.
estate has so many niches to offer. And when you first start, you start moving from one to the other one. And like, there are people who love that part.
Yeah,
You know, it's like,
absolutely.
I want to be in front of the seller. Like, I feel the same way. I'm like, it's emotionally investment.
Heartbreaking. 'Cause that
Yes.
person is selling for a price that he or she wouldn't want to sell, or
Yeah,
is going
but
into a situation that they need to sell. But you're helping them, but you're also making money out of helping them. So you kind of get that guilt, no?
There's also a lot of competition in the bigger markets. I mean, Austin, there's probably 20 private lenders, hard money lenders here in that focus on Austin alone. So with competition, it's harder to get deals. The challenge that we find as a lender, if we have this bucket of money that is on the sidelines
Ready to be
and
deployed.
needs to be deployed, would we make a loan that we otherwise wouldn't because this
Exactly, because
money
the
is burning a
pressure.
hole in
Yeah.
our pocket?
Hola, hola, ¿cómo están?
Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a un episodio más de Real Estate Talks. Gracias por escucharnos y por sintonizarnos. Les recordamos que nos sigan, que nos manden recomendaciones de temas.
Y todos los miércoles a las 7 de la mañana tenemos un episodio nuevo para ustedes. Denle like, la manita y pónganle seguir para que sigamos estando cerca de ustedes cada semana. Hoy tenemos un invitadazo, la verdad es una persona que aprecio mucho, es de las primeras personas que conocí cuando yo llegué a Austin en estos meetups de real estate, que todavía andaba pensando qué voy a hacer, todavía no estaba tan segura de enfocarme al tema de multifamily ni de tener el fondo que tengo, y ha sido una especie de mentor para mí, aunque no lo creas, Rusty. Sí me entiendes, ¿verdad? Rusty habla inglés, pero está casado con una mexicana
Claro.
de Guadalajara, ¿verdad?
Ella es de Saltillo.
De Saltillo,
De
no sé por qué
Saltillo.
pensaba que de Guadalajara. Bueno, de Saltillo. Pero entonces, vamos a hacer el podcast en inglés y estoy muy feliz de presentarles a Rusty Hruby.
Sí.
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 Yo digo Hruby, pero es Rusty Hruby.
Rusty Hruby, sí.
Bienvenido, Rusty.
Gracias. Estoy muy emocionado a estar aquí.
Okay.
Hi. Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Lala has talked great things about you, but tell us a little bit of your background. Like, how did you got into real estate and why
Sure.
the niche of real estate that you are in?
Yeah, so like so many other people, I was doing the corporate thing for many years. I guess I usually like to tell people I'm a recovering CPA. So I did that right out of school, and it just wasn't for me, but I stuck in there long enough to get my license. And then I decided I was going to get out of that, and actually got into software technology, and was providing software technology to private country clubs, so a very small niche.
Okay.
And then we ended up starting a company in middle 2005, 2006, and crashed and burned almost, but we survived, and ended up having a very, very good, exciting growth pattern for about 10, 12 years. And we ended up selling our company in 2017. And then I stuck in that same business for another 3 years and kind of hit the 50-year mark. And I said, hey, is this what I'm going to continue to do, or am I going to do something different? And so had a little bit of cash on the side. And I was like, do I want to put this in Wall Street like everybody else, or do I want to do something different? And that's when I started exploring syndications and other alternative paths of investments. So in 2019, I got out of that business altogether and ended up meeting up with one of my former borrowers. I was doing some lending on a very small scale, and I wanted to learn the fix and flip, the real estate business from the ground up. He was a fix and flipper.
What year is this? 2019?
2019, yeah. So, and kind of worked with him for about a year, learning a little bit about single family, which was mainly what he was investing in, and saw where he was getting his money from. And anyway, long story short, me sitting in front of in a living room with a distressed seller wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And so I ended up backing out of that niche. And
You felt you were kind of like taking advantage?
No, I just felt like it was it takes a special person to be able to provide the empathy that's needed in those situations, and to also provide a solution that they feel like you're not taking advantage of them.
I know.
And so it's a very,
I know.
Yeah, and real
Yeah.
estate has so many niches to offer. And when you first start, you start moving from one to the other one. And like, there are people who love that part.
Yeah,
It's like,
absolutely.
I want to be in front of the seller. Like, I feel the same way. I'm like, it's emotionally investment.
Heartbreaking.
Yes.
The person is selling for a price that he or she wouldn't want to sell, or is going into a situation that they need to sell, but you're helping them, but you're also making money out of helping them, so you kind of get that guilt, no?
Yeah, it takes a special person to do that.
It is.
And so,
And then,
but through that process, as you guys know, there's 100 different ways you can invest in real estate. So at the same time that I was involved in that, I had started investing in syndications, multifamily, senior housing, some commercial projects, so a little bit of everything, but also did some investing in some debt funds. And through that process, I kind of felt most comfortable with the debt side of things. The returns aren't as big, but it's a little bit safer way to do things, in my opinion.
And we have talked about this before. So the difference for our audience, so when you invest in equity, you are like an owner or part of the owner. You have ownership on whatever thing you're investing. When you invest in debt, you're lending money, right?
That's correct.
So you are guaranteed a payment, or you are in a first lien position normally, or you're in a better position to be repaid. The returns on equity are normally higher than the returns you would get on debt. So I just wanted to clarify.
Right.
But the equity, you don't have that first lien position. And
and it's riskier, but you get
higher. Yes.
Yeah.
So
it depends
in my
how
opinion,
much
you gotta have a balance, right?
Absolutely. There's a balance. So in I think it was late 21, I had built a couple of houses in South Austin and just did really, really well. But I guess it wasn't me. It was timing. I'm convinced. The
market was booming.
And so I was going to do it again and roll my returns into another project, but I just couldn't get comfortable with competing with how expensive things had gotten. So at that same time—
What year are we talking about?
This was late 21. And so at that time, my longtime friend for 40 plus years, he was exiting a business. And so he had some cash he was looking to deploy. So we ended up getting together. So, hey, we had previously talked about it. Why don't we start a company that focuses on debt, on private lending? And so my buddy Ricky Hux and I, in late 21, early 22, we established Real Texas Capital. And that's our company. We're a boutique private lender. We don't really aspire to get to a $100 million fund. We want to enjoy the next 20 years, lend responsibly, make good returns on our money, but safe returns. And we also invite friends and family and others that want more of a fixed income type approach. If they don't want it in the bond market and on Wall Street, we could be an option for them.
How do you decide who do you lend to?
Well, first, when we do our underwriting, the first thing we really focus on is the project itself. And if the project, if it makes sense, then we'll underwrite the borrower. So the borrower is hugely important because you never know how these deals are going to go. And so we look at the borrower's experience. We try to do as best we can background checks, Google searches, LinkedIn,
social media
type stuff, and get some references as well to make sure that we're comfortable. But one of the most important things about the borrower is they need to put skin in the game. And there's a lot of lenders that say they do 100% financing, which I guess there are lenders that do that, but we feel like it's absolutely necessary for the borrower to have money in the game day one. And so, but yeah, if we get comfortable with the project and we've got a good feeling with the borrower, and they have the cash to put into the deal, and then we'll go ahead and proceed.
And then first you underwrite the deal. And then you go to the owner, or at the same time?
Yeah, we'll underwrite the deal first, but that usually is pretty quick to determine if the deal makes sense or not. And of course, in every situation, the borrower is going to think the project has the potential of being worth more. We always are coming in under every time because we're going to be more conservative, and and then we validate that they have the cash to put into the deal, and then we proceed from there.
And what about the type of properties? Is that commercial, single family? What type do you?
Yeah, most of our deals are single family.
Okay.
Again, from a conservative approach, we feel like those are the easiest to underwrite and the easiest to sell if whether the borrower needs to get rid of it quickly or whether we end up taking a property back.
Mm-hmm.
However, we have, since Rick and I, it's our own money, or we're in control. We're not beholden into any third party banks to provide the financing. We make our own rules. So we've done some land deals. We've done new construction, and so we're open to other things besides single family. But I would say we're a small balance lender. And so I think our biggest project to date for a loan has been low 600s. So most of our projects are going to be 200 to 400,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's you're typically 6 to 12 months in duration. At least that's the terms we set out in the loan. Of course, today we're seeing a lot of projects take longer to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So there's potential extensions involved that will drag the project out a little longer. But the extensions can be a good thing, both for the borrower and for us as a lender, because there's typically extra fees involved during an extension.
Yeah. So if you started this in 2021, you say, you saw this switch and the flip of the market. Do you only do Texas or do you do other markets?
Good point. We're only focused on Texas because the lending laws are unique in each
state.
Uh-huh.
And so we want to make sure that we, they're confusing enough as it is in one state.
Yeah.
Texas is a non-judicial state.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can, the foreclosure process can happen much more quickly in Texas than other judicial states where you actually have to get the judge involved in all that. So, so typically if there is an issue and worst case scenario, we have to foreclose, it can happen, within 60 days, if there's no delays, et cetera.
Yeah.
So,
but how do you see the changes in the market? Like what in your side of things, how is it looking?
Yeah. Well, I think, timing's everything. And I think starting this business when we did, we didn't make very many loans in 22.
Yeah, I remember because I was Rusty, do you have? And Rusty's like, no, the line of opportunity. Because I invested in him.
Yeah. So we didn't make very many loans early on, which was when the Martin was going.
Yes.
And so I think many of the lenders that were just killing it in 19, 20, and 21, they kept lending at that aggressive rate. And now a lot of those properties have been extended. Those loans have been extended and extended. And
right, they're having a hard time.
At some point, you got to, the borrower might throw in the towel and those lenders are foreclosing. And now they're getting properties back that they might be underwater on.
Gotcha.
So fortunately for us, that hasn't happened. We've had one property, two properties actually that are involved in a foreclosure, and so far
current loans.
Well, one we already got out of, and even though we foreclosed on it, we ended up making a positive return on it. Mm-hmm. The one we have now, it's a development project that it's to be determined yet.
Yeah.
So, but it's been an interesting process throughout the foreclosure process because there can be delays that the borrower can get some legal involvement where the process gets pushed out. So in many respects, it's delaying the inevitable, but the borrowers, they're holding on to every last straw they can to try to save a deal.
And in that case, if for whatever reason, it's good that you haven't experienced it, but if the loan defaults, you get to keep the property or not necessarily?
You would keep the property. Well, the foreclosure process, the property would be auctioned off at the courthouse steps, and depending on the scenario, if you have a credit bid of X dollars, and if the auction doesn't solicit a bid of that amount or more, it comes back to the lender in that case.
Got it. And where are you finding the opportunities right now?
So we've been focusing actually in smaller markets. So we've got several loans up in Waco right now.
I'm in one of those.
Oh, are you? Okay. Yeah. So Waco, Wichita Falls. We've got some in San Antonio, Rockport. So we're comfortable pretty much anywhere in Texas, but there's also a lot of competition in the bigger markets. I mean, Austin, there's probably 20 private lenders, hard money lenders here in that focus on Austin alone. So, with competition, it's harder to get deals,
and you compete with them not only for the deals but like in the rates. Like, do you feel there's a competition? Like looking at it from the perspective of a potential lender, ¿sí? Que piden prestado.
Yeah.
So they would go to you and go to your competitors and see who gives them the better rate? Or?
Yeah, the borrowers will shop around. We're not trying to compete on rate though.
Because it's not convenient for either. Because then it would become...
Yeah. And that's a hard thing because the first thing a borrower asks us at any point in time, just like a distressed seller, how much?
Yes, exactly.
And so we tell them right up front, look, if your sole purpose is getting the cheapest money, we're not your lender. And so we try to compete on just servicing the heck out of them. We want to be, we're a text away, a phone call away. It's me and my partner, Rick. That's it. That's our company. And so we can move pretty quickly, where a lot of the larger lenders, they've got a sales team, they've got an underwriting team, they've got a loan committee team.
And then you're calling, you remember, Rusty followed me, the process of that house that I did in San Antonio, that I was really stressed. So I remember that lender that time, it was like to call like the call center, and then from the call center, that other person. And it was just, terrible.
So we don't really compete on rate. We've got our set origination fee and our set interest based upon the duration of the loan, whether it's going to be a 6-month or a 12-month, and our processing fee is a flat rate, and that's it. But we try to provide that white glove service and be very responsive to our lenders or to our borrowers. And we're since we're not using bank financing for any of this, we can be a lot more flexible with when our borrowers need extensions or when if they hit a hiccup.
Your investors' money and your money.
Right. We were investing our own money, and we've got a small group of investors that we use their money to provide the funds for these loans.
How did you do it in the back end? Like, let's say you were saying for some family who wanted to invest with you, do they invest to a fund or do they invest to the property?
Good question. So we do not have a fund structure in place, and there's pros and cons with every approach. The fund structures are very good for the lender because you pool monies together and it's sitting there and available for you. The challenge that we find as a lender, if we have this bucket of money that is on the sidelines and needs to be deployed, would we make a loan that we otherwise wouldn't because this money is burning a hole in our pocket? So we've decided that not to do a fund. I'm not saying we won't ever do one, but we do what we call participating interest in loans. So our company actually makes the loan, Real Texas Capital, and then we offer our investors the opportunity to participate in a loan at a smaller percentage at a percentage. I mean, they can take the whole loan, but typically they'll put in, 25, 50, 75, 100 into a loan, and then we'll assign a participating interest in that loan. And so
they think, opportunity by opportunity.
Yeah.
Kind of like what I do with my fund, that that I have a fund. I don't get money up front. I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I just and I'm very last year I did 4 deals. This year I'm only doing 1 year. Just because that's a deal that I like and that's what I'm working on. So I'm not like you, it's boutique. I'm not like committed, I'm going to do 8 deals this year and I'm going to make, it's relax. I have my 3 kids.
Right.
I have other things in life that matter to me. Right. So, so we put an opportunity out there, and then I've already talked to investors before. So if they like it, they invest. If they don't like it, they don't invest.
Exactly.
And
so for you, it's kind of the same.
It's kind of similar, right? And so once we get a loan payoff, it's a double-edged sword. Everybody's excited that we had a loan that was successful.
Yes.
All of our lenders typically are making a double-digit return. They get their principal back, and then they can be in a position, do I want to put this money in a completely different project. Maybe I want to go into multifamily,
Yeah.
or they can decide if we have another loan available to redeploy back into
I see it as a middle between active investment and totally passive investment in the stock market, where you just put it there and you don't see it until you want to see it.
Yeah.
These ones give you an opportunity to do it like deal by deal. And as an investor, like I'm thinking, okay, I have my self-directed IRA. And my self-directed IRA, I use it as, okay, I'll put money in Lala's deal. And then when Lala closes and sells, they give it back to me. And then I have opportunity, okay, what else is out there, you know?
Right.
It's for those people who actually wanted to be a little, I don't want to say active because I'm not going to tell you, Rusty, what to do with my money. Like, I'm going to give it to you. And that, but at least I get to see the project.
And they share like a Google Drive where you can go in and see the map, the location, all that deed. So it's very, I'm a very happy investor.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so we, as Lala said, we give full transparency of the underwriting that we're doing. We share that with our investors. And, some of them actively go in and because she calls us out, hey, where's this information? Where is that? And where other investors just say, we trust you. We've done enough loans with you.
So it's not that I don't trust you. It's just that
but you're a different type of
You're a curious mind. Let's say.
I ask everything.
Yeah, so she does a great job of making sure that
I remember that first time I went through the whole contract with him.
Yeah.
It was like 3 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, Lala, you're asking a lot of and I'm like, "No one like." And I need to understand what I'm signing.
Yeah.
So at least,
And I think probably we're a good, like if you looked at our demographic of our investors, we have a lot of investors that are at that, I'm going to say 55 plus, all the way to like my parents are investing and they're in their 80s. They really don't want their money tied up in the volatility of the stock market or in a 3 to 5, 7 year equity.
They want a shorter timeline.
And I tell you that there's something powerful about that cash flow. You know, whether you're a landlord getting that cash flow each month from renting or the cash flow from a loan because our borrowers are paying on a monthly basis.
Totally.
And so it works. It's there's a fit for everybody's portfolio, I think, and I think it's a great option for IRA type money as well. So we've got several investors that are doing that.
So we're running out of time, but I would like to quickly change the subject and ask you. So what are you seeing? What other opportunities besides what you're doing are you seeing in this market, in the current market? Like what's your? If I had like a crystal ball, what would be your prediction? Because I like the report that you show, so all real estate and you've been through all different types of real estate investing.
So as it relates to lending, we're seeing some additional opportunities of some of land, and a lot of the banks and the traditional lenders, they don't like land because it's harder to evaluate. And so we're getting more opportunities in that area, as well as some new construction. Again, some of the banks are a little bit more, not as willing to lend on new construction. But the other thing that we've recently been introduced to is right over the last several years, especially in Texas. Texas is the largest state in volume of seller finance properties. Okay, so you have a owner that wants to offload a property. There's a huge opportunity. We've talked about the underbanked community out there. And so they're, that particular owner might be seller financing, and there's an opportunity to go and buy those notes. So note investing. So it's lending, except we're not originating those loans.
They're already set.
Yeah. And so just to give you an idea, we looked at a project over the weekend, and a land developer, well, I shouldn't say a developer, a land purchaser bought 10 or 12 acres down in outside of San Antonio. They carved it up with land surveys in 2.5 acres, and then they sold them very quickly, probably in 30 to 90 days. And then that seller, though, they want their money. And so then they're selling that note, and the returns can be 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 20%. So, they can be pretty attractive from a debt perspective. So, so that's what we're looking at.
Well, Rusty, thank you so much for coming here, for being here in the podcast. I'm really glad to, because we talk over the phone, but I hadn't seen you in like a year and a half, maybe in person, or 2 years. I don't know.
Well, this is my first podcast. So thank you very much.
We'd love to have you back.
Yes, for sure. Give us an update of what's going on in the lending world.
Yeah. And for any of you guys out there that are interested in private lending, whether you want to work with me or anybody else, give me a call. I'm happy to introduce you to the concept, because there's a great opportunity for you to invest your own money directly with borrowers out there.
Totally.
Perfecto,
Very nice
Rusty.
to meet you.
Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias.
Es un gustazo tenerte.
Okay.
Yo soy Lala Elizondo.
Y yo soy Gaby Proctor.
Y esto fue Real Estate Talks.
Si llegaste hasta aquí es porque te gustó la información y estás interesado en invertir en real estate en Estados Unidos.
Para esto hemos creado un entrenamiento que te va a simplificar este camino, ya sea que seas un inversionista por primera vez o que seas un inversionista sofisticado.
En la descripción de este episodio está la liga que te llevará a este entrenamiento.
O bien búscanos en Instagram como @invierte con Lala y Gaby y comenta con la palabra invertir en cualquiera de nuestras publicaciones y así te mandamos la liga a este entrenamiento.
Muchísimas gracias por habernos escuchado. Nos vemos en el siguiente. Escucha un episodio nuevo de Real Estate Talks cada semana.
En tu plataforma favorita para escuchar podcasts.
Ponte en contacto con nosotros en lalaygaby.com.